10 men stood next to Axl Rose. 10 men are gone, never all at once. That's the part that gets me. A drummer in 1990, a guitarist in 1991, a bass player in 1997. You know the songs. You don't know the order this thing came apart in, or what it cost every one of them on the way out. Josh Freese. By 1997, the original band was gone, and Axl was rebuilding from nothing. The drummer he hired to do it was one of the best session players alive. Josh Freese. If you owned a rock record between 1995 and 2010, Josh Freese probably played on it. The Vandals, Devo, A Perfect Circle. The guy is a machine. He joins Guns N' Roses in the summer of '97 on a 2-year contract, and he goes to work on the record that would eventually be called Chinese Democracy. He plays on Oh My God, the 1999 track that was the first new Guns N' Roses music the world had heard in 5 years. It landed on the End of Days soundtrack. If you were around in '99, you remember the shock of it. New G&or, actually real, and nobody knew what to make of it. He left in 2000. Buckethead came in, recommended a drummer called Brain, and life moved on. Here's the part that gets me. Chinese Democracy finally came out in November 2008. 11 years after Freese joined, he'd sat in that studio, day after day, cutting drum tracks for an album that had already swallowed years of his life. And when the record shipped, his drums weren't on it. Brain had re-recorded them. Freese got a credit for arrangement on 4 songs. 4 arrangement credits on a record reportedly built on something like $13 million of studio time. His actual playing? Gone. Wiped. Replaced by the guy who replaced him. You know what's worse than being fired? Being kept for years, doing the work, and then finding out the work didn't survive the mix. He never made a public war out of it. Went right back to being one of the most in-demand drummers on earth. But there's a version of Chinese Democracy that exists on a hard drive somewhere with Josh Freese playing on it, and none of us will ever hear it. Nine, Chris Pitman. Ask 100 Guns N' Roses fans to name every member, and I promise you, this is the name they miss. Chris Pitman. Keyboards, synthesizers, sub-bass, programming. He joined in 1998, and he stayed until 2016. 18 years. Steven Adler was in the band for 5. Slash was in it for 11 the first time around. Izzy managed 6. Chris Pitman put in 18 straight years next to Axl Rose, and most people watching this video have never said his name out loud. He's all over Chinese Democracy. He's the low-end architecture underneath a lot of what makes that record sound the way it sounds. That huge, layered, almost industrial weight. He even filled in on bass at a show in 2007, when Tommy Stinson couldn't make it. Whatever the band needed, for 18 years he did it. And then, here's the turn. When the reunion came in 2016, Slash back, Duff back, Coachella, the whole thing, Pitman was out. His slot went to Melissa Reese. That alone would be a story. But it didn't end quietly. In 2016, according to a report filed by TMZ, Pitman claimed Rose owed him more than $163,000 on a promissory note that had come due back in 2012. The two sides settled that November, 18 years, and the last chapter is a court filing. And this is the thing about being the guy nobody notices. When you're indispensable and invisible at the same time, there's no fan base to defend you, no headline when you go. There was no Pitman leaves GNR trending anywhere. He just wasn't in the photo anymore. Being the influence nobody credits is lonelier than being forgotten. At least forgotten means somebody knew you once.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
8. Buckethead. This one's going to sound made up. It isn't. March 2000. Axl needs a guitar player, and he hires a man who performs in a white mask and an upturned KFC bucket. Communicates through a hand puppet, and plays like nobody else on the planet. Real name Brian Carroll. Everyone calls him Buckethead. And here's the wild part. He was good. Not novelty good. Genuinely, structurally good. His playing is a huge part of why Chinese Democracy sounds like nothing else in the catalog. But the sessions were a nightmare. Years of showing up, playing the same parts, waiting on a record that never got finished. Producer Tom Zutaut has told the story of trying to keep Buckethead motivated. And at one point, to get him to stay, they built him a chicken coop inside the studio, because that's where he wanted to work. I didn't believe it either. There is a chicken coop in the Chinese Democracy story. He drifted in and out for 4 years. And at the start of 2004, he was done. Now, the fallout. Guns N' Roses were booked to headline Rock in Rio in Lisbon that May. On March 30th, 2004, the band pulled out. And Axl put out a public statement blaming Buckethead directly, calling his behavior and commitment inconsistent and erratic, and saying his departure had made the band's plans impossible. Here's my honest take, and I know some of you are going to push back on this one. That statement is one of the strangest documents in rock history because of who wrote it. This was a band that in 2002 had canceled more shows than it played, and the frontman was calling somebody else unreliable. I'm not saying Buckethead was easy. By every account, he wasn't. I'm saying it takes a specific kind of confidence to write that sentence. Seven, Tommy Stinson. The man who replaced Duff McKagan had already lived a whole legendary life before he got the call, and that's what makes this one sting. Tommy Stinson joined the Replacements, one of the most beloved American bands of the 80s, when he was a child. 11, 12 years old, depending on who's telling it. He grew up on stage. He was punk rock royalty before he could legally drive. In 1998, he took the hardest job in music, playing Duff McKagan's bass parts in front of crowds who came to see Duff McKagan. He did it for 16 years. through Chinese democracy, through the canceled tours, the riots, the years where nobody knew if the band even existed. Every single night, standing in someone else's spot, playing It's So Easy for people in Appetite t-shirts who'd never forgive him for not being the other guy. He's since said Axl was always good to him, that it was a good gig, not an easy one, a good one. He said he has nothing but gratitude for it. And then, in 2014, life came for him. He's told this story a few times now, and it's the most human thing on this whole list. He had a situation at home, a young daughter, things he couldn't leave. He says he had to tell them 5 separate times that he couldn't tour. 5 times. And eventually the answer had to be no. His last show was in Las Vegas, April 2014. He said Axl was upset, didn't appreciate it. And I'll be honest with you, I get both sides of that. Stinson has also said that looking back, he thinks it worked out, because his exit is part of what cracked the door open for Duff to come back in 2016. If you've ever had to choose between the thing you built your identity on and the people who actually need you at home, you know it isn't really a choice. It just feels like one while you're making it. Six, Gilby Clarke. This is the coldest exit on the list. Not the saddest, the coldest. November 1991, Izzy Stradlin is gone, and the band has about 3 weeks to find a rhythm guitarist or cancel a leg of the biggest tour on earth. Dave Navarro was considered, / later said he couldn't get it together. So the job goes to a Los Angeles guitar player named Gilby Clarke, and he saves it. / has flat out credited Clarke with saving the band. Axl introduced him from the stage. He and / would trade wild horses in the set. He played the Tokyo shows that got filmed. He played on the Spaghetti Incident. 3 years. 200-odd shows. Millions of people. And here's how it ended. Clarke has told this in interviews, and it hasn't changed. In 1994, / calls him, asks to meet him at a restaurant, and tells him Axl wants to go a different direction and doesn't want him in the band. A week later, / calls back and says, "Forget it, everything's fine. We talked, we're good." And then, in Clarke's words, the checks just stopped coming. That was it. That was the notification. He figured out he'd been fired from Guns N' Roses because the money stopped showing up. He said it himself. He was never actually fired. His paychecks just ended. If you've ever been let go from something without anybody having the decency to say the words to your face, where you had to piece it together from silences and a missing email and a meeting nobody invited you to, you know exactly what that does to a person. It's not the loss. It's the disrespect wrapped inside the loss. The former manager, Doug Goldstein, has said the other guys never really fought for Clarke when the decision came down. Clarke's version puts it on Axl. 2 accounts, still not reconciled. And whether the band owed him a phone call after 3 years of service, I'll let you decide that one. 5, Matt Sorum. He got fired for defending / That's the short version, and the short version is close enough to true that it'll ruin your day. Matt Sorum came in from the Cult in 1990, to replace Steven Adler. Immediately, the band changes. Adler swung, loose, alive, human. Sorum hit like a hammer. That's why Use Your Illusion sounds the way it sounds. Those records debuted at 1 and 2 on the Billboard 200. 2 albums, same day, top 2 slots. That's Sorum's snare underneath it, 7 years. Both Illusion albums, The Spaghetti Incident, the whole 2.5-year world tour, 200 shows on 4 continents, riots, curfew fines, the works. By the mid-90s, Axl had brought in his childhood friend Paul Huge, and Tobias had become the fault line. The whole band cracked along. Slash objected. Sorum objected. Sorum would later call Tobias the Yoko Ono of Guns N' Roses, which is a hell of a thing to say out loud about your boss's oldest friend. By Sorum's account, he told Axl that Tobias had taken shots at Slash publicly, and he said the line that ended his career in that band, that without Slash, there is no Guns N' Roses. He was fired in April 1997, and here's the sequel nobody expects. Sorum didn't fade out. He, Slash, and Duff regrouped and built Velvet Revolver, which won a Grammy and went platinum. A second act most fired drummers never get within a mile of, but he's never gone back. When Guns N' Roses reunited and the invitations went around, he was offered a guest spot, a couple of songs. He turned it down, said it didn't make sense to him to play 2 songs and then stand around. He gave that band 7 years and told the truth once. That's what it cost. 4. Steven Adler. Of everybody who ever stood on that stage, Steven Adler is the one who never really got up again. You've heard him, and you might not know it. The reason Appetite for Destruction sounds like it's about to fall over and never does, that's Adler. That loose, forward-leaning, joyful swing. Slash has said it plainly over the years, that record doesn't groove without him. Then heroin, and it wasn't slow. By 1989, he was in rehab. Don Henley, the Eagles' Don Henley, filled in on drums at the American Music Awards. And on March 28, 1990, Adler signed a document. That document turned him from a partner in Guns N' Roses into an employee and stated that any relapse meant immediate dismissal. He was fired on July 11, 1990. His last recording with the band was Civil War. It came out on Use Your Illusion 2 in 1991, a year after they'd let him go. Go listen to it knowing that. It's a farewell, nobody labeled as one. He sued, filed in July 1991. His claim was that he'd been pressured into signing away his partnership stake, and during the trial, Slash testified that Adler was strung out when he signed it and nodding off. Not the band's lawyer, Slash, under oath. They settled in September 1993, days before the jury would have deliberated. $2.5 million, about 2.3 from the band, $150,000 from ex-manager Alan Niven, $50 from Doug Goldstein.
Welcome to the jungle, it gets worse here every day.
And Slash's reaction, which has been quoted for 30 years since, was that all they'd done was hand him enough money to kill himself.
I want to hear you scream.
Adler has said something in interviews that I can't shake. He's talked about his father leaving when he was a baby, and then he said, "And then the band left me, and it broke him." He wasn't fired from a job. He was thrown out of the only family he'd ever managed to build. 3 Duff McKagan. He's the one who got out with his life, barely. Duff McKagan came down from Seattle in 1984, 20 years old, partly running from a wave of heroin overdoses, tearing through his friends back home. He answered an ad, met Slash and Adler, and became the low end of the biggest band in the world. And he drank. Everybody drank. But Duff drank like it was load-bearing. He's written about waking up and going straight to the vodka bottle next to the bed. He's described trying to taper off by switching to wine and landing at something like 10 bottles a day. May 10th, 1994. He's 30 years old. He wakes up in his Seattle house in pain so complete he can't get across the bed to the phone. A friend found him. His pancreas had swollen and burst. Doctors told him the digestive enzymes had burned him from the inside. Stop drinking or die. That was the medical advice. In those words, he stopped, and he stayed stopped.
How could you be so cool? So cool.
But sobriety changed what he could tolerate. Here's how he put it in his own book. The band had been paying rent on studios from 1994 to 1997 and still didn't have a single finished song. He'd just become a father, and the whole operation was too erratic to fit the life he wanted. He resigned in August 1997, the last member of the Appetite for Destruction lineup to go. If you've ever gotten healthy and then discovered that the healthy version of you can't live in the room you used to live in, that the room didn't change, you did, you know that's a strange, lonely kind of progress. Everybody congratulates you. Nobody tells you what you have to leave behind to keep it. To Slash. You know the silhouette before you know the name. Top hat, curtain of hair, the Les Paul slung low. That's not an image, that's a logo, and he built it out of nothing. He's also the reason a whole generation picked up a guitar. That opening figure of Sweet Child O' Mine started life as a warm-up exercise he was messing around with in rehearsal. A finger drill. Izzy started strumming under it, Duff came in, and inside of an hour they had the biggest song they'd ever write. 11 years. And then a fax machine. Here's the sequence. Axl brings in Paul Tobias, Slash objects, and by his account, Tobias overdubbed part of a Slash solo on their Sympathy for the Devil cover in 1994. That's the point of no return. Slash pulls back, throws himself into Slash's snake pit with Sorum and Gilby Clarke, comes back for a couple of weeks in late '95. It doesn't take, and in late October 1996, MTV received a fax from Axl Rose. It said Slash would not be part of any new Guns N' Roses. It also announced there'd be no tour, no videos, no website, no fan club, no merchandise, but there would be a new album of at least 12 songs. That album was Chinese Democracy. It came out 12 years later. If you were a fan in 1996, you found out your favorite band was over from a press release with a joke in the header. Slash's own explanations have shifted over the years. Musical direction, a contract he wouldn't sign, management people playing both sides.
Trying to kill the pain.
Recently, he's landed on that last one, that the issues between him and Axl were never actually insurmountable, and that once the people making it worse were gone, the two of them got past it easily. He's also said the thing that stuck with me most: it wasn't amicable, but it was inevitable. 20 years of silence followed. Public shots both directions, and then in August 2015 he mentioned, almost offhandedly, that he and Axl were friends again. Coachella was announced 5 months later. He got the ending almost nobody on this list got. He went back. One, Izzy Stradlin. And here's the one that never healed, Jeff Isbell, Lafayette, Indiana, Axl Rose's friend from childhood. They came out to Los Angeles together, two kids from the same small Midwestern town. He wasn't the flashy one. He stood in the shadows, stage left, and let everybody else be the spectacle. He also wrote or co-wrote a staggering amount of the catalog. Strip Izzy Stradlin out of Guns N' Roses and you don't have a band. You have a singer and a lead guitarist looking for songs. Now here's how you find out something's wrong. 1991. The band shoots the video for Don't Cry. Enormous budget, the whole cinematic Hollywood thing, and somewhere in that video is a sign that reads, "Where's Izzy?" It's right there on screen. Months before anybody announced anything, the band was telling the audience he was already gone, and none of us could read it yet. He'd gotten sober. And that's the whole story in 3 words. He said it himself. Once he quit drugs, he looked around and asked whether this was really all there was. He was just tired, and he made the observation that anybody in recovery will recognize instantly, when you're messed up, you'll tolerate things you'd never otherwise tolerate. So he looked at the riots, the late starts, the chaos, the friends he was watching destroy themselves, and he told Rolling Stone that his opinions weren't being taken seriously anymore. He said he skipped that video because he had no say in it and didn't want to be in it. His last show was Wembley Stadium, August 31st, 1991. Nobody in that crowd knew. He made it official on November 7th. Slash has admitted he was resentful about it for years, that Izzy walked out looking at the rest of them like they were all going to die. Slash's attitude was, "Don't worry about me, I'll manage." Izzy was right, by the way. That's the part nobody says. He looked at that band in 1991 and correctly predicted where it was going, and he got out. And being right cost him everything he'd built since he was a teenager in Indiana. And in 2016, when Slash came back and Duff came back and the whole world got the reunion it had stopped believing in, Izzy Stradlin wasn't there. He put out a short statement about it, that the tour was a great success for the guys, that he simply couldn't reach a happy middle ground in the negotiation. And that sometimes things don't work out. That's all he said. That's all he's ever said. If you've ever walked away from something you helped build, and then had to watch it succeed without you, and be gracious about it in public, you know there isn't a word for that feeling. It isn't jealousy. It's something quieter and worse. Axl Rose's oldest friend, the guy he came out west with, the one who never came back.